I bet my life and $100,000 on Breatharianism. And you might be thinking, how is this sustainable? It's truly impossible to go a week without food or water. There were doctors, blood tests, cameras, and other scientists monitoring me at all times. And I won the bet. If it's possible for one person, it's possible for everyone else too. It was all documented on national TV, and you can find it in my website, raymore.com, and my YouTube channel. And by the end of this video, you'll know if you have what it takes to practice Breatharianism. And Breatharianism is the right choice for you. There's one important thing that animals and centuries-old African tribes have in common, and that thing will change the way you think about food forever. By definition, Breatharianism is the claimed ability for a person to live without consuming food and, in some cases, without water as well. In reality, it is a complete change of mindset that allows the Breatharian to detach from the habit of eating. Fully committed students that pass the Breatharian initiation never come back the same. Some have removed negative friends, others have completely ended their bad relationships, and others quit their 9-to-5 in order to pursue the excitement of life. Part 1. Understanding the human body. Breatharianism is very powerful, so where do you start? In a small tribal village in Kenya, an elite group of runners train to compete in top running events around the world. Not only will they win, but almost every year they break a new record. Similarly, hundreds of years ago, hunters ran along the plains, sharing one specific physical trait with the runners of today. They are both very skinny. So step 1 to understanding Breatharianism is to understand that food is not actually your primary fuel source. Have you ever noticed after a heavy lunch you feel like taking a nap, or your productivity just isn't as high as it should be? Too much food and water can burden the digestive system. If your body is using, let's say, roughly 25% of its energy to break down the food that you eat each day, it's basically spending the whole day and the quarter of your body's energy just breaking down food and taking away your energy. So when your body needs the energy to do something else, like fight off a sickness, its natural response is to stop you from eating. Similarly, when a cat or dog gets sick, they stop eating immediately, and we see it as a sign that they're not healthy. That's because we've developed this idea behind food being our energy. When we get sick, we feel like we need to eat, even though food feels terrible. We force ourselves to do it. Really, what we should be doing is just drinking water or tea and letting our body heal. And this isn't something we just learned. Fasting is embedded in a lot of old religions and cultures. We just don't practice it often anymore. So the first thing you can do on your path to Breatharianism is to change the way you eat. If you're eating bread, meat, lots of carbs, you're burning a lot of energy. Start to change your diet to eat what monkeys eat: fruit, plants, things that are mostly raw and easy on the body. No processed foods, fake sugars, or salts. You will have a ton of energy if you'll be focusing on getting natural sugars and if you drink plenty of more water. I have personally noticed after reaching 30, a fake sugar high is like a bump of energy before a giant drop-off. By eating natural sugars that wear off over time, you eliminate that issue. Part 2. Understanding what? Breatharians. Breatharianism begins with health and continues with character. Not only do you want to master your energy, but you truly master your mind and beliefs. If you're the healthiest person in the world, but without control over your mind, you're lost. You succumb to boredom, loneliness, anger, and other similar emotions quickly. And you cover those emotions with more workouts, terrible relationships, or bad eating habits. You simply have terrible coping mechanisms. And for lots of people, this has turned into a food addiction. It seems normal to watch a show with a snack or go out for dinner instead of doing something truly stimulating. And that's not your fault. Our modern culture has made it normal in TV shows, movies, and relationships. Have you ever eaten just because you were bored or because something simply smelled good? Let's say you walk past the kitchen and you smell a nice burger sizzling in a pan. Your original path was to the TV or to playing some video games or read a book. But now, intrigued by the good smell, you feel hungry. Suddenly, as you turn into the kitchen, you see the burger has mushrooms on it, something you absolutely hate. You're no longer hungry. And suddenly you find yourself figuring out something to do instead of eating the burger. So, are you hungry or are you just bored? Part 3, the solution. So, what comes next? How do you actually implement Breatharianism into your life? At this point, if you just want to water fast for a few days, lose weight, or think this is an easy self-help solution, you should stop watching the video now. If you're truly and really interested in understanding how this could change your life, then stay tuned and stay with me. So, as I've previously covered, most people think that Breatharianism is just no food and no water, essentially going cold turkey. But that's not true. We first tone it down to the most simple degree possible. Would you be able to run a marathon tomorrow or right now? No. But if you trained, you absolutely could after some time. In exactly the same way, you cannot just jump into a detox. You would not even be able to stop eating half the food you eat right now. You'd probably fail miserably the first few days and probably never try again. So, you want to start off with a liquid diet. Not only is it easier to eat, but because your body doesn't spend so much time and energy breaking the food down, you get that energy back in your brain and you will feel it as extra focus and solution-oriented creativity. Then you want to flush out as many toxins as you can. And to do this, you'll need to drink at least 2 liters of water per day for a while. If you eat less than normal, you don't need to drink as much water. But this will be the first test of your true will. In addition, your body will start to normalize your hormones and you will feel like eating less. The best part is, the effects are almost instantaneous. After drinking 2 liters of water for 1 or 2 days, you feel lighter and cleaner. Our body is amazing and it adjusts quickly to any change as long as we're persistent. Just like getting over a jet lag that only takes a day or 2. Imagine walking with a 10-pound weight every day. When you start practicing Breatharianism, you feel like you've lost that weight and in return, you gain more energy. Suddenly you're running upstairs, you're having more sex, and you're wanting to exercise. Imagine your mind 5 years ago. You are faster, brighter, and more focused. And after a few days of very light, natural eating, you notice the effects in your creativity, mindset, and activities. It's like working out. At the start, it's hard. Once you keep going and you build up momentum, you almost become addicted to it. And you don't want to go back to your old self. The next few days are the hardest, but your body adapts. Your stomach is going to shrink a little bit, so after a few days, you feel like you need to eat less and you don't want to eat more. But the mental games begin. All the energy that would have been used to digest food makes your mind faster, and you start to think about your problems and the things that are holding you back from a better life. If you didn't deal with these mental aspects of the detox, you will not be able to stick with Breatharianism, as it requires a mindful mindset. Part 4, the result. Like building any new habit, if you don't continue to practice it, it will fail to become a habit. Breatharianism has the 4 hardest habits to develop, all tied into one: diet, persistence, self-love, and personal development. Fasting isn't the answer, because once you stop fasting, you indulge. By practicing Breatharianism, you change your lifestyle and mindset to focus on you, your body, your personal awareness, and your freedom of choice. And so, if you're interested and want to know more, the first link in the description goes to my website. There you can find exact details about what a Breatharian initiation retreat looks like. And if you're committed, you can sign up for a week-long workshop with me. I've initiated over 1,000 people into Breatharianism, and there are a few things you're going to notice right after the workshop. You'll need at least 2 months without solid food. You can juice or smoothie when you need, but not as a breakfast, lunch, or dinner alternative. Some people get quite quickly back into normal life. There's a significant change, and the new you is going to meet the old you and together create a new person. And you're going to come back with a changed mindset, and you have mastered food in a mind over matter way. You prioritize more personal time, better diet choices and quantities, mastery of self-awareness, and your limiting beliefs. You will reach empowerment in yourself and understanding others much better. As you develop a deeper understanding and knowing of yourself, you start to reduce your stress and you begin breathing properly, which is slowly. Most people today don't breathe to the full capacity of their lungs. Please take a deep breath right now with me and notice how it makes you feel in your body. Here are 3 points you need to consider about your breath. Point number 1, have you ever noticed that if you're stressed, you just need to take 3 deep breaths? Not 1, but 3 in the same time period. Once you stop hyperventilating from the stress, you calm your heart down. When you breathe slowly, you're actually telling your body that it is safe, and in reaction, your stress levels decrease immediately. Point 2, in low life expectancy animals like mice, you'll notice a lot faster heart rate and breathing pattern. And this can be said about all smaller animals. If you want to live longer, slow your breathing down. Point 3, and the last point, is that the same thing applies to when you're hungry. Take more deep breaths, focus your breathing and mind to reduce that desire, and take deeper, profound breaths to the full capacity of your lungs. To summarize, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna change your mindset about breathing. Without food, you can live for a few weeks, without water a few days, but you can't live without breathing, only for a few minutes. Air is the energy, and that's why it's called Breatharianism.
There are various ways that we identify ourselves through what we eat. For example, we are non-vegetarian, which means that we eat meat. Then there is a concept of an eggetarian, where they negate every other form of meat but only eat eggs. Then we have the pescatarians, that basically, again, no form of meat apart from seafood. You then have vegetarianism, right? The vegetarians that come in, they are about a plant-based diet, dairy-based diet, and then you have the vegans that come in. And the vegans are people who have nothing to do whatsoever with anything that comes from any source connected to an animal. So they will not even have honey because that comes from a bee. Dairy, of course, is completely out. Now, you have all these amazing ways to define your eating habits. Have you ever come across somebody called a breatharian? Somebody who does not have any form of food or any form of water and lives simply and purely and completely by oxygen, prana, light energy and sunshine. Is that even possible? Do people like that actually exist, and how much truth is there to it, and what is the science to any of it? So human beings, very much like animals, can go out there and source their food because we're mobile. Plants, on the other hand, if you think about it, are stationary beings, right? So they have their roots that go deep into the soil, and they have their leaves out there that are absorbing, water molecules, and their sunshine. And this is the whole process of photosynthesis, which we are all aware about. How is it that a plant takes a water molecule and a carbon dioxide molecule and create a food molecule? It does it via the sun. And sun plays a key important role in the process of photosynthesis. Now, considering that all these elements are available to us as human beings, why is it perhaps not possible for us to also be able to harness these various elements and create food within our own systems? And my incredible lust for all these incredible healing sciences has led me to a breatharian, Mr. Hilton Amin. I am so fascinated by this gentleman, and I'm sure that you will be too. Hilton, every single thing about you is fascinating to me, right? Everything that I've read up on what you're doing, on how you live, on what you preach and what you practice is so out of the box, so surreal. And yet when I see you, it's so real. And I want to first ask you about this incredible science, which is called Breatharian, in a sense. I've already talked to the viewers about the various Arians that we have, being non-vegetarian, vegetarian, eggetarian, pescatarian, etc., etc. And now we have with us a Breatharian, right?
Awesome.
First, tell us, what is a Breatharian?
Well, Breatharian comes from the ancient word anidia, which is the ancient word for fasting. And it means to eat very little or none at all. So the human being could go through a transformation or a development, a process to where they could get themselves to eat nothing at all on a physical dense level. But we being energy beings on our foundation, you can strengthen up the energy channels that we call chakras or nadis in the body. This isn't far-fetched, to nourish the system instead of going to the denser physical foods.
So when they say you live on love and fresh air, it's literally that.
Absolutely.
So how many of you are there in the world? I know there's only one Elamin, but when I read up about on your interviews, you'd stated that there were people out there who were Breatharians and they intrigued you and you wanted to learn about them. How many Breatharians actually exist on this planet? I mean, would you put them in tens, hundreds, thousands?
Well, right now, dealing with the active ones, there's about 20 active that's in the mainstream. Most Breatharians are people living on prana, as we call it.
Okay.
It's more in the back front because they don't want the media attention and stuff like this. And it has been growing, so we will put it into the thousands.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a lot of people out there
Right.
simply functioning on this incredible science, which is, I guess, so akin to synthesis in a way,
Absolutely.
right? So tell me how this works. Just a brief sort of explanation to people out there who A, may not believe, or B, who are really curious and want to know and want to learn. And would love to come to you for a course, but they kind of need to know, what is this all about?
Oh, exactly. All right. Now, we being energy beings, any physicist on the planet could tell you that. For the simple fact, everything we use and do, whether if I'm speaking, singing, deals with energy. Now, meditation is the foundation of this process. But when you brought up the key word photosynthesis, photo means light, synthesis means combining or putting something together. Now, everybody got the memo that the plant kingdom practices that. But when it comes down to the human being, but then again, they did help us by saying we do get vitamin D from the sun. Now, what that means is that's photosynthesis. So if we could do it on that level, just because they told us that that's what we could get out of it, you could get a lot more off of that same operation of dealing with light touching the body and the body combining it with other chemical reactions to produce what you need.
So Elitam, how does a person make sense of the fact that some people can do it and some people can't? So say, for example, everyone turns around and says, oh, that's great, I don't need food anymore and I want to chuck it up. It's not going to happen for them, right? They're going to basically starve to death, as what is common, right? Commonly known if you deprive yourself of food and nutrition.
Right.
So there was a study by a professor at Oxford who basically said that if a woman had enough chlorophyll on a flat surface area of her skin, it still wouldn't give her more than 1% of the energy that she would actually require to function and to live. So how is it that some people, like yourself, are able to so easily absorb and synthesize and use this incredible energy, and some people are not equally gifted? Is that the word?
Oh, well, we got to bring up hard work, education. That's all it deals with. Now, the doctor from Harvard, he meant well, but they
Oxford, I think it was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they were taught on a biochemical level. That's what the medical profession is off of. So that they deal with food, diets, and stuff like that, because that's the biochemical level.
Right.
But when I said earlier about us being, we're talking from an energetic point of view, energy medicine, which made a great rebound today. And what backs up the Breatharian message is we got machinery now that can show you the electromagnetic field that's coming off the human body, to show that we deal with electricity, and the higher the electricity, the higher the magnetism, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So now what we're saying in the Breatharian message is, like, we could take biophoton therapy, which is a live therapy they're using now, where you're actually using light to fuel the cells of the body. That right there, a bell should go off to tell us a lot.
Well, for the viewers out there, just to let you know that we have about 37 trillion cells in our body, and each cell has a certain volt capacity. So technically, we have about 70 trillion volts of electricity in our body, and that's as per science. Yeah. So, so what Ellie Tom is basically talking about is harnessing that energy, activating that energy. Now, a lot of us cannot activate certain energies, and a lot of us are unable unless shown a path or guided along a certain way to harness that specific energy or to release a specific energy. So what's really interesting when you meet Ellie Tom is you're seeing a living human example of someone who practices what he preaches, and somebody who's been food free for how long, Ellie Tom?
I've been on the path for 20 years.
For 20 years, and no food, no water whatsoever.
And the last 2 years was the no food or no water. Now there's been many long periods without it. But what I tell people, this is a skill that you develop when you can pick food up and put it down.
Yes.
That's the skill behind it. The other person has to be stuck into it. So over the last 20 years dealing with what works, what don't work, different environments, people you're dealing with, social gatherings, you start learning how to socialize yourself without food but still blend in with people. So that's actually the hard part.
Well, what about temptation? A lot of us may say that's all very well, but we're human beings and we're on this planet having this incredible sensory human experience, right? Where food and what we smell and what we taste and what we touch is equally a part of being human. Why would we want to go food free?
Oh, see, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the hardest part right there. How would you socialize with people?
No, why would you want to be food free?
Oh, for health purposes. See, this is a health message. This is a holistic health message. It isn't a belief system at all. When you say, why could some people pull it off but some not? This is a science of a holistic lifestyle. Now, listen at this now.
This is so nice. He's happy and he's vibrant and he's full of energy, and you meet so many people who eat so much food and yet at the same time they're kind of dead and depleted and exhausted and not energized despite the amount of food that we tend to eat, right? So many times we eat food and we say, oh, I ate too much, I'm lethargic, right? And here we have somebody who says you don't need food, you can be high energy and laughing all the time.
So what the Breatharian did, they were a bigger skeptic about the food. It ain't about being food free. I was a skeptic about the food. We got a pandemic taking place on the planet because of food, abusing those energies. So that's where it starts out at, is when a person starts becoming food conscious. He who eat less live longer. So once you can start catching that and start learning meditation on how it deals with breaking up energy blockages. And you can use meditation without no medication to heal yourself if you know what you're doing.
So what would happen in the eventuality that somebody is injured, like a breatharian gets injured, and then say you go to a hospital and you do not have access to sunlight? What would happen in such a situation? Say if you were put in a drip, would that undo the entire process of all those years that it took you to be completely...
Oh, I could talk on two different levels of this. First of all, everything is mental, because holistic lifestyle deals with a mind-body connection. My body is my mind. This is the way I think. The average person ain't got that. So number one, for me to even be in an accident like that, I wouldn't even be in it. I just got to say that, because you're part of the environment. You should have saw it coming. That's for number one. Now, number two, you do heal quicker than the average person.
Okay.
You should heal quicker because you have a stronger immune system. Most of your energy is just to nourish the organs and keep you alive, while the average person is using a lot of energy to digest the food that they eat all the time. So it takes them longer to heal.
Just off the topic, and I'm very fascinated because a lot of people you see who don't eat food and they're really slim and really lean, etc. But Ellie Tom sitting here has these really cool muscles happening, like all over his body, like he's ripped. Like show, Ellie Tom, show me. Like look at that. I mean, that's amazing. How does that happen? I mean, I know that while growing up in a certain era, you were always told go eat your meat. If you want your protein and you want to go and build your muscles in a gym, right? And then you came to a point where there were a lot of people, a lot of big heroes, for example, in movies, who decided to go completely vegetarian, and they were equally ripped and equally strong, and everyone sort of looked at them and said, wow, they're on plant protein. Oh, plants have protein. And now there's you without meat and without plant. How do you get those muscles is what I want to know.
Well, first of all, it's even a science on making muscle. So that's called repetition.
Okay.
Breaking down the muscle and giving it time to rest. So you at least got to put that effort in for number one. Number two, when we said meditation is the foundation, all you did was actually shift energy sources. First, we was using fossil fuels, dead plants and animals, and that gives off a lot of toxin. Well, here we go now. Since we went to another fuel source that don't give off toxicity like that, you can use it to actually help build the muscle because there's water in the atmosphere. It does take training once your body gets to a certain level where it does not lose weight anymore. But then you can start actually chipping away at your body just like in the old artwork. This is art. So I do exercise every day. Keep the body toned, keep the muscular, because muscle also stores energy. Oh, we got to keep this in mind. So when you deal with the foundation of a breatharian, you got what? Meditation, you got fasting, you got exercise, because exercise was taken out of spirituality. You should exercise to detoxify the organs, get the heart beating stronger. And then last but not least is the mindset. See, we are also biocomputers. Oh, here we go now. What you think changes the organism. So one of the great mass effects was if you don't eat, you'll die, just by somebody telling you that. Because the body actually put that program going through the body. So you do have to do a whole thing, rechanging the way you think. Like people will say you brought up the word protein, but nobody really know what protein is. You don't know what it is.
Tell us what it is according to you.
Well, I don't have to learn now because I'm living off of something that people say, where you get your protein? I don't even know what it is. All you got to do is sit in the energy and live.
So tell me something, Alitom. There are various, obviously, layers. As you said, for 20 years, you've been practicing the process of becoming a breatharian to the point that you are completely food and water free. Right. So in these processes that you've used along the courses of these years, you've mentioned there was meditation. You mentioned that there's a certain amount of discipline, a certain sort of mind mastery that you need to put onto it, a certain amount of breath control, and obviously there's an element of obviously absorbing nutrition from other sources that are not tangible sources. So I also read that you talked a lot about it is what you wear, the kind of fabrics you put on your body. How does the process work really?
Well, so when we talk about a holistic lifestyle, that word means whole. Most people, when they think of a holistic lifestyle, they just go to diet or a person to start fasting. But when you put the whole lifestyle in, it even deals with social interactions, relationships, because people are nourishment. And we really got to understand this. Some people can drain your energy. Too much negativity come out of you. Basically, it's getting stress and tension, not only out of the physical body, but also out of the emotional body. But what is the emotional body? It is the physical body. It's in it. You got to go in there and clear those blockages, which they call emotional healing, and that brings more light flow through the body. It's all about how the energy is going through the body. The body is a good conductor of energy. This is carbon-based, and we could go on and on and on. But when we feel those different blockages, aches and pains, that's just what it is. The main root cause of all sickness, illness, and disease is the lack of energy in that location that's being blocked and not flowing properly.
So therefore we get into the chakra systems and how all the energetic chakras of our bodies are all in tune and need to function simultaneously, and even one chakra gets blocked, it's a chakra corresponding chakras that also start malfunctioning up and down the whole system. When you talk about absorbing energy, as you said, whether it's social interaction or whether it's interaction from the environment or the sun or other things that come your way, how do you actually do the process of absorption? How do you actually enable yourself? I know meditation would possibly play a very big role.
This is a good one.
You have two meditations in specific, which are, one is your microcosmic one, and one is your roots.
And my Qigong.
Tell me about it.
Oh, well, she asked the key question. How do you absorb the energy? First of all, when we sleep at night, when a person goes to sleep, they're absorbing energy. See, sleep is unconscious meditation. When you relax, that's why all meditations, the things they got in common is get comfortable and get in a relaxed position. Once you do that, your body by its nature automatically start getting the energy it needs.
These meditations that you teach, I'm really keen on explaining this clearly to the viewers, because a lot of them will be filled with a lot of skepticism and disbelief, and there'll be a lot of but how? And like, say for example, you and me are sitting here right now without our chappals on, without any footwear, and you never roam around with footwear because you believe in absorbing earth energy, right? So basically, it's like a plant in a sense, right? When you have like your photosynthesis happening with your branches spread out, and you have your feet down to the earth, down your roots are developing, and then you have this openness awareness through mind mastery to the infinite consciousness.
Right.
And you have, and sort of on multiple levels, you're eating, breathing, and living earth energy, air energy, light energy, and all of that. So all these elements are available to you, and I guess there are different receptors, right? So I always give this example, which is if you have a set-top box in your home, right? There are like 500 TV channels happening around you, and you have a set-top box that instantly decodes the frequencies and it sort of seamlessly relays that onto a screen, right? We don't have the frequencies to tap into that, but that does. Similarly, there are a lot of people like Hotema who've mastered through processes of meditation and mind mastery, etc., the ability to channel and harness certain frequencies and to tap into certain frequencies, right? So the ability to do that, very much like, say, the processes of Reiki, when a master attunes you and suddenly you're accessing different dimensions that you never before thought were humanly possible. But when you actually do that and experience that, and you're kind of blown away at, how did I do that? Do I have superpowers? But the fact is, it's not about having a superpower. It's simply about having the ability to tune in differently, to raise your frequencies differently, which of course, as Hotema has shown us in many ways, is done through what you eat or don't eat, your exposure to the outside world, your environment, your thoughts, which play a very important role in frequencies as well. So Hotema, what is it that you would like to tell our viewers about being a Breatharian? Why should they come and do this incredible course with you? Why should everybody out there give up their delicious butter chickens and fish fillets and beef fillets, and why would they want to do that? Give them incentive, give them good reason. 3 good reasons to become a Breatharian.
Well, I'll tell you why. One thing for sure, you'll have it under your belt for when you need it. You got the information and you'll have it. So you can enjoy your food until one day and say, uh-oh, I done went overboard. And then you know what to do in your procedures to better your health. Because your health is your responsibility. That's what it boils down to. And when you talk about the electromagnetic field that comes off the body, some people's are more brighter than others. But it's your responsibility to keep your electromagnetic field healthy. So what you can get off of me is that knowledge for when you need it. But the main thing for sure, nobody gets away from, how should I say, health. Nobody gets away from dealing with being conscious on what you're eating or overeating. So you need to learn those things on some discipline in that area if you want to live a full, healthier life.
It still hasn't answered the question whether you to get off their favorite things and what are the benefits you would get from being a Breatharian.
Oh, the benefits.
Come on. See, I mean, okay.
Full energy, clarity of thought. You'll have energy to carry out things. You won't have no aches and pains in the body. That shows a high vibration. That's what I'm teaching them now. No aches and pains in the body. You got rid of them because you know what put them there. Those are the benefits. Oh, man.
See, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Oh, my God. Why wouldn't you want that?
Why do you wear
your wealth.
Why do you wear this turban on your head? Isn't that your solar panel?
Oh yeah, but see,
why are you
I got so much energy. I don't want it to escape just everywhere. It'll be like this. So I keep it enclosed so it can keep on coming up and down and feed me. There's a method for it. Yeah, I got a lot of energy, man.
So marine biologists have discovered that this incredible green, vivid sea slug called the Elysia chlorotica, right? Basically, it looks like a leaf. It absorbs energy from the sun and does photosynthesis just like a leaf. But in fact, the sea slug is an animal. There is no possible way that an animal could have a process of photosynthesis in its being. And it seems to happen because it consumes an algae. And this algae, now this all sounds very interesting to me. This algae is something that this sea slug uses its DNA, pirates the DNA of this algae. And it is the only case known yet to science of how you can take the DNA of another organism and use it and adapt it to your own body, as the sea slug does. Now, to me, that is fascinating. If one organism and one creature, which is termed an animal, can do it, there's infinite possibilities of what else is possible and species doing the same. And therefore, it is perhaps also possible that as human beings, if we choose to adopt some sort of similar mechanism, that there perhaps might be a way to do so. So sea slugs are not the only creatures that have stolen these solar secrets from the plant kingdom. You also, for example, have the pea aphid, which charges a solar-powered backpack using light-harvesting pigments called carotenoids. And then we have the spotted salamander that uses algae to solar power its embryos as they develop inside eggs. And then we also have the oriental hornet, which might use a similar trick utilizing a pigment called xanthopterin to convert light energy to electricity. But neither of these creatures are actually photosynthetic in nature because they do not have the ability to convert carbon dioxide into sugar. After meeting Mr. El Amin, one is actually convinced that there are so many different dimensions of our existence which are perhaps unexplored. Yes, science doesn't have the answers to everything, and science is also learning. It's a catch-up kind of situation where the more we learn about the world of quantum physics, the more we discover not just about human beings, but our existence in totality with the entire universe and cosmos, and how we are directly linked and interrelated to all of it. Hello and welcome to Quick Bites with Pooja and Happy Soul, and here we have with us Ellie Tom. Ellie Tom, it was a fantastic session with you. We enjoyed the entire discussion. We have quick bites for you based on what we have discussed. Number one, people want to know, do you go to the restroom?
The only thing that comes out is what goes in. So if you don't put nothing in, nothing's coming out like that.
Very interesting. And how many hours, Ellie Tom, do you sleep?
About 2 hours a night. That's if you ain't got nothing going on. So if you got something going on, you're so hyped up and busy, you just keep going, because our bodies, our spinal cord is like a battery. It always charges itself up with energy. So you actually sleep less just coming with the breatharian knowledge. Because there is knowledge you could eradicate sleep altogether also.
Very interesting. Okay. When you spoke about your 18 years towards food freedom and the last 2 years of food freedom.
Right.
How difficult was that journey for you of 18 years?
Oh, that was actually easy. It was
Liar!
It was easy because the only thing you're asking yourself is, when do I want to let go? That's what it is. When do I want to let go? Because we're too busy playing around with life experiences. That's all it is.
So then why did it take you 18 years?
Because I missed my experiences. I was like, I'm scared.
So it wasn't easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. All right, I'll fess up.
So, Ellie Tom, a large part about being a breatharian is the fact that you're absorbing all this incredible sunlight, which is prana and chi, and it really nourishes your entire body and system. What about those people who cannot go in the sun? You have very good melanin content, clearly, and you're able to absorb the sun rays differently. What about those people who have very sensitive skin, and what about the possibilities of skin cancer, therefore, when attempting to be a breatharian?
Well, nature got it all figured out, because we're living in an electromagnetic field of the sun. Everybody is. Everybody's living off the sun directly or indirectly. Now, some people with the higher melanin content is because their genealogy is closer to the sun, to the equator. The further you move away, people have the ability to pull more energy from the earth. You got electrons coming from the earth, but everybody's still tropical inside. That's why everywhere we go, even in the coldest regions of the planet, we created tropical atmosphere.
Okay, so what you're saying basically is that there are those people that are able to harness it directly from the sun, and they're saying that other people, those who cannot possibly be out there in the sun, could get it from earth energy.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, that's why they show us the yin and yang sign. It'll equal out the same, so everybody has the ability to be food free.
That's really interesting. Thank you so much for that.
Oh man, awesome.
Quick Bites with Ellie Tom. Really, really amazing, incredible human being, very inspirational, something for all of us to learn.
This is Elitar Melamine, and I'm a Breatharian. And I'm so happy and great to be here on Happy Souls.
All these sciences are amazing sciences, and we are so delighted to bring you episode after episode on Happy Soul to help you learn, discover, and explore all of this with us.
And I hope you will like, share, and subscribe this interview. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.
Hi bro, and welcome to the first video of our 2-Minute Human Lives series. The longest living person in the world, who lived 157 years, ZARO Aga. ZARO Aga was born in 1777 in Mutki, in the village of Medan in what is now Turkey at that time in the Ottoman Empire. He saw 10 Ottoman sultans, 28 grand viziers, 1 president, 5 prime ministers, and participated in 6 wars. He was married 13 times and had 36 children. ZARO Aga did not smoke or drink alcohol throughout his life. He eats yogurt every day and said that the secret of long life is yogurt. He died on June 29, 1934 in Istanbul Hamadi Etfel Training and Research Hospital, where he was treated.
Only oranges for 1008 days this lady ate. She came out like she was 20 years younger. The digestive fires, if these fires have to burn most effectively, fruit is definitely the best thing. Fruit can do miraculous things to the body. One can become very, very alive and active. Your brain works best. Ecologically, it's the most sensible thing to do.
Sadhguru, you have said that our psychological situation can be influenced by what we eat. Medical science is talking about how fruits and vegetables promote psychological wellness. Is there any significance to this? And is a predominantly fruit diet only for someone doing certain kinds of sadhana? Or is it also okay for people in regular situations involving work, family, or lots of physical activity?
So fruit can do miraculous things to the body. Sufficient consumption of fruit can do great things to the system. One can become very, very alive and active, no matter what is your lifestyle. But if you're doing very menial kind of job, let's say you're digging outside every day physically, not with a machine, but you're physically digging and doing very hard work, then you may find every 2 hours you get hungry because of the fruit. Because there is only that much volume you can eat, but it gets digested so rapidly that you may feel empty stomach. Till you come to a certain level of awareness where you are able to be empty stomach and still be energetic. Because hunger is about running out of energy, it's like you're running out of battery, that's why you need to eat. But today, a lot of people, or most people I would say, when they feel little empty in the stomach, they feel like eating. To get out of this, you need a little bit of awareness that you're empty stomach, but still you're okay, because you're energetic. When your energy starts dipping, you eat. We must check and see what kind of fruits you're exposed to. And seasonally, there are a variety of fruits. It's very incredible that what kind of fruits the land produces at a certain time is most suitable for the system. There's a lot of study about this, how for those seasons when it's cold, when it's hot, when the moisture is very high, the right kind of fruit comes out of the earth. If you're eating from that area, but now you're eating fruit that comes from New Zealand, this is another matter. If you're eating from the land around you, you will see the right kind of fruit is coming to you at the right season. It's the best thing to eat at that time. Above all, it's ecologically a very sensible way to eat. Right now we are launching a campaign that everybody should turn at least 30% fruity. That is, at least 30% of your diet should become fruit. Because if 30% of your food comes from the trees, not from plowed land and crop, ecologically it'll make a huge difference for the world. And if you're trying to shift from heavy meat eating to fruit, then you may find it's like you've eaten nothing because you're used to being pulled down to the earth, eating very heavy food. What is easily flammable is the best food. In our stomach, without doubt, fruit is that which burns up quickest. So this means least amount of residue, least amount of tax on the system, least amount of stress in the system. So definitely it'll make a huge difference. I knew somebody who went on 1,008 days of only one fruit. This person went on orange. Only oranges for 1,008 days this lady ate. She was full of ailments when she started. She was a diabetic, high blood pressure, and I don't know, they told me a list of problems that she had, serious very thyroid issues, overweight. In 1,008 days, she came out like she was 20 years younger and full of vitality, all ailments gone totally. This is one person I am saying, please don't go on just oranges, we'll run short of oranges, or at least move to Florida. Yes, fruit will make a wonderful difference, especially in today's world. It's very important because we value a human being, in the work areas I'm saying. We value a human being for their brain power, not their brawn power, unless you're on WW whatever nonsense, okay? So, for this, fruit will make a huge difference for sure. And ecologically, it's the most sensible thing to do. Between fruit and meat, for one person to survive, let's say that you have to survive on just meat, then approximate calculation is, we will need 15,000 liters of water to produce meat for one person for 1 year. If you go on fruit diet, we will need 300 liters of water. You should. All the rivers will flow once again.
Hey everybody, it's Key, and today I'm going to be reviewing this incredible book called Man's Higher Consciousness by Professor Hilton Hotema, first published in 1962. Now this book really challenges the conventional ways of thinking of humans, what we have developed by modern science. Hilton goes forward to discuss there being two kinds of science and really wants us to really ponder the difference between these kinds of science. He says there's two kinds. One studies causes, which is fundamental truths, instead of effects. And the other focuses on observations, which is just studying the effects. He wants us to focus on the causes to find the fundamental truth. And that's why everything in this book is so different than anything you've ever heard before, and really challenges our whole world. And the point of this book is supposed to liberate us and to awaken us to the truth. So what he likes to talk about in here is the concept of breatharianism, and that humans have actually degenerated over time from originally needing nothing but air to the point where we feel like we're going to die without food. And now people initially would say, okay, well then how come people are starving to death every day in third world countries? Well, Hilton says, if you just focus on observations and the effects, like modern science is doing, then you're going to look at that and think that those people are starving because they're not eating food. But if you don't do that, if you look at the causes instead and look for causes, you can see that people are addicted to many different kinds of drugs where they die when they stop taking the drugs. People die all the time from quitting taking opium, for example. People even die when they're given really bad news, and they'll have a heart attack and just pass away. So he's saying you cannot attribute just the effects to the actual cause. You have to look for the causes and find the fundamental truth. In this book, he challenges many things, even the concept of food at all, building the body, nourishing cells. He challenges the concept of gravity as well. And so there's about 280 pages in this book, and it looks like there's all these chapters, but they're all really short lessons that are extremely potent. Most books I find just have about 2 nuggets of gold in them, though this book had so much gold in it that you really got to read it closely. It's just very, very interesting book. You won't want to put it down. So here's some notes that I took. According to climate, altitude, and condition of air, so is man. Warm air in temperate, tropical, low regions is the worst for the body. So he's saying that literally we can look at climate, altitude, and condition of air, and that will be relative to the state of the health of the human being living in that environment. Now, the author, Hilton Hotema, you're going to wonder, well, how did he die? Is he a breatharian? Because he spoke very much about longevity, that humans should be living at least 150 years to 1,000 years or more. And he gave lots of anecdotal references to people that lived from 150 to 400 years throughout this book, and in the last, since the 1800s, that have been recorded to do so. And he compiled, how to get to that point, and really that we should be going from a vegan to a fruitarian to someone that's just focused on liquids like fruit juices and herbs, and then moving to a higher climate where there's more ozone and ions in the air, and then we won't be hungry anymore. Now, why did he die? He died when he was 92 years old, and he believed he was going to live to 150. So it seems like, oh, maybe this wasn't working. Well, he was vegan, and he did live very healthily. But I read online that he also ate beans, which was against what he believed was good for health. He believed beans would actually erode your body. And he also died in Sebring, Florida. So we know he was living there for a long time, and Sebring is a place that is against his own truth that he found. So it was warm air, temperate and tropical in Sebring, Florida. It's also a low region, so that's among the worst place to live. And he said that you will die if you live in places like that, and that actually a breatharian, if they came into our modern civilization, they would go unconscious immediately because their body is not proper for this kind of climate. The air here is so polluted in our modern civilization. So we need to take the process slowly of detoxification to return to our normal state, and we can't expect to reach our full original state while remaining in modern civilization. Here's some more notes. To speak or write of cell nourishment and body nutrition is ignorance and unscientific. The parent cell begins the building of the body. Origin unknown. So the parent cell is written about in Taoism, ancient Chinese medicine. You can think of it like if the body is a house, then the parent cell is a magic brick that produces more bricks and tells the other bricks exactly where to go to build a house on their own. So it is just an electromagnetic center, a pattern for cosmic rays to crystallize and materialize around into form cells. Now, I don't quite understand what cosmic rays are. It's quite a ambiguous and esoteric term, but I think that we can bring it down to ionized minerals, all right? Because these cosmic rays, they form into minerals when they're condensed. Just like you can look at an electron and it looks like it is a particle, but it is really just a band or a net of tied up vibrations, or really dense vibrations, so really waves, and there are no particles in the reality. So he suggests following up with the book Man the Unknown, written by Carell. He says cells are shadows of the condensation of cosmic rays. The process of growth is the work of these cosmic rays. The ingested substance merely produces activity in the cell function by way of stimulation, not nourishment. That's from his other book, The Nutritional Myth. He said that foods stimulate and pass through the body, like turning a mill with hydropower. The mill doesn't actually eat or use the water. The water just moves the mill. Cosmic rays are attracted by magnetic chromosomes and materialized as minerals. We must leave the polluted air of civilization or perish. Well, he perished. Hot and cold baths, heavy manual labor, excessive exposure to the hot summer are some factors that we don't consider often that actually are aging the body. He also writes that air quality is so important. It's the first and most important thing that makes us sick, that the common cold is a result of polluted air, and that we should always have a fan on in our bedroom. We should have the windows open and be as close as we can to be living outside, to be having proper amount of air and proper cleanliness of the air. The air that doesn't move stagnates, just like water that doesn't move. So he said, study causes instead of effects. We spoke about that. Starving to death. People die when quitting opium or getting bad news. Food is a stimulant the body is adapted to crave to the death. It's a drug the body is adapted to crave to the death. Headaches, vomiting, skin eruptions are positive purgative effects of fasting, which has been shown to cure all manner of diseases and cancers in even just 30 days of fasting. Many people in the medical community say, oh, well then fasting isn't healthy because you vomit, you get headaches and skin eruptions, but that is the process of your body actually finally being able to have a break from digestion and now focus on eliminating all of the disease. Man follows the line of least resistance. Ascension requires work, while descension is to drift with the tide. So you can summarize his process by saying you want to go fruitarian, and you'll feel the best you've ever felt. And then I can agree with this. I've experienced it myself. And then you want to go fruit juicearian, like coconut water. And then breatharian will come naturally. Man is not designed for manual labor. According to the law of correspondence, which is a universal or a natural law, and the law of vital adjustment, make your body harmonize with your habits. Or naturally, your body is going to harmonize with your habits, your work, and your environment. So if you're doing constant hard manual labor, coming home feeling exhausted, your body is harmonizing with that state of exhaustion and it's constantly aging. So if you can harmonize your, choose consciously your habits, your work, and your environment, then your body's going to align with those things. So you want to be in a place with good air, obviously, work that keeps you flexible and adaptable, but not overexhausted, and habits that aren't destroying you. You want to be flexible, pliable, adaptable. Salt is suicide, he says. Like table salt, it has no benefit. It, in fact, is for embalming and paralyzing, dehydrating, to totally cut it out. And that most countries and people in the world that are vegan and vegetarian naturally in their culture don't eat salt. You could think of Rastafarian, the Ital diet, very little salt or sweet aside from natural fruit. So water is dead, he says, if it isn't exposed to air and sunlight for a time before drinking, or if it's distilled water from plants and fruits. Distilled water dissolves calcifications and deposits that are in the body and is the best water. I can attest to this. I've been drinking it for years. He said it's the best water save for fruit water that comes from eating fruits. He says, though distilled water, it is bad for your teeth. It's going to erode the minerals from your teeth because it's such a strong solvent. Coconuts, melons, berries, and fruits should be the only water consumed unless you have a hardening in your body or cancer that you're trying to erode away with this solvent of distilled water. So that's a new experiment for me. When I was fruitarian, I can definitely say I didn't need to drink any water, and I'm working my way back towards that because I can actually tell that the distilled water has been affecting my teeth enamel for sure. All fresh fruits should be eaten alone or with salad veggies. The reason for this is because chemical reactions happen in the stomach. So we got to be aware, my friends, of food combinations. When you're eating fresh fruits with starches and meats, it causes fermentation and the acid becomes very detrimental to our bodies. But when you eat fresh fruits on their own, then you have an alkalizing effect to the body and healing. He says oranges are the king of fruit. Obviously, if you're eating them with coffee and biscuits and bacon, whatever, for breakfast, then they're going to be very unhealthy. But if you're eating them on their own, they are all you need. There are very many testimonies of people that have survived for like months and months and months on just fruits. He has an anecdote of 6 months on oranges in this book. Dr. Robert Morse, a mentor of mine, was on fruits, I believe, for 3 months. And that's what really kicked him off on his health journey to become the Dr. Morse that he is. Orange juice is God's distilled water. You want to have an empty stomach when you consume it, though. And so it's very powerful for healing. A breatharian would pass out from breathing our current civilization's air. You can't change yourself without changing the environment. Common cold is air pollution, lung decay. High cold, ozonated, and ionized air is best to return to the breatharian state. And he left an anecdote of people flying, I think it was above the Netherlands, like 10,000 feet high, who had whooping cough, and several people on the plane, like, all were cured of whooping cough when they landed because of all the ozone in the air, the natural ozone, not pollution. So, and then I wrote a personal note. It made me think of, there was supposedly one of the oldest men ever. His name is Wizardo, like Wizard-O. If you Google Wizardo, Wuhan Mountains, you can read about him. Someone who claims to be a breatharian, very, very old. I forget how old, but I think over 200 years. And he lives in the Wuhan Mountains. There's actually a temple up there where there is breatharian practice going on with Chinese people. So that's a place that fits the description, which makes it, seem a lot less like it's something that's just a gimmick or a scam, but it fits his description of high altitude, colder air, ionized air. So that is what you're going to get into with this book, Man's Higher Consciousness, by Professor Hilton Hotema. And you can purchase this book on Amazon.com, and I will leave the link for you in the post that I'm making with this video. Thanks for watching. Keep reading. Remember, readers are leaders, and keep an open mind. I want to remind you that an educated mind is someone that can entertain an idea without believing it. You can entertain an opposing idea. That's how we expand our minds. All right. Have a lovely day. Plasma love always flowing.
This is number one of the
number one of the series
of the thousands of podcasts over the next decades, I guess you could say that. And well, for anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Mark English. I've been on the path, I guess you could call it the esoteric spiritual journey, for about 11 years now. I was brought into this knowledge. Someone from the military actually enlightened me on what was going on. The first steps of me stepping into the journey was actually learning about the extraterrestrial involvement, in the government, the extraterrestrial involvement in the child trafficking, and all of the things that has been going on the planet for the past thousands of years. Now that woke me up, because at the time I met him, I was actually 19 years old. I was a Christian. And it really kind of, excuse my language, but fucked me up when he said something along the lines of an ET type race, or archonic race, that kind of co-opted Earth and our experience on Earth. So that was my, whether you agree with it or not, I'm not trying to say that, okay, this is, it's not for you to agree with me. I'm just saying that's what brought me onto the path. Currently, me and Chris, this podcast is going to be talking about breaking food addictions and breaking not just that, but all mental illusions, government,
Mm.
the medical illusion, the illusion of language and thought form,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So I also do energy work every day. I am a steady path on my Qigong, and I do pyramid meditation. So I currently am weaving off of cooked vegan food. You guys are going to remember this first podcast where by the time like we get to the 100th, hopefully I'm like past that.
Mm.
So, you know, that's just a steady introductory, okay? I am a daily energy worker, and I'm working to get more on lighter foods. And I mean, I feel like there's so much that we can decode, because again, you know, just dealing with Chris and you know, he's about to introduce himself, but this is gonna be a session of decoding as well.
Mm.
So, you know, you take the floor, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, dude, what you were just talking about, breaking the illusions and the addictions. In short, becoming free. That's what this is all about to me. And I want to see people free. I want to see people independent. I don't want to see people needing other people for anything at all. Because when they do, even if the other person is not intending to take advantage or exploit the person that needs them, that is almost a subconscious thing sometimes, but it naturally occurs even at very small levels, but it still happens. There's an exploitation of the person that is needy. So the goal for me, myself, was to become not needy for anything. And quick timeline, as a kid, really violent home, crappy situations, got into fights at school. Everything was macho and stand up for your family name and all this typical bullshit that involved violence. And it was just kind of a rough deal. And as I grew, you know, I was very cynical about a lot of things, and part of it was because of that. But it was also, now that I'm looking back on it, it was also because all of us that are on this path of growth, who seem to care about what's going on, had this feeling that everything was just off, like something's wrong with this world and the way it's run. And I don't know who's doing it. I don't even know what they're doing at that point as a kid. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why. It just feels wrong. And then you start learning because you seek it. And one of the big things for me was in 1995, finding out that there was a cure for cancer. That was huge because that's all I heard about my whole life was donate to this cause and donate to that. You know, they've got cancer broken down into, I don't even know how many different categories now: leukemia, lymphoma, bone cancer, breast cancer, whatever other cancers they have. And there's always a separate place you can donate, and there's always a different way to attack, quote unquote, the cancer, when in reality it's something that's it's natural in your body. And it just means that you've trashed yourself for so long that the body is trying to remove the thing that's going to kill you. And
Cancer's our friend.
Cancer is our friend, but we don't, and it's in you, it's in everybody, that we have cancerous cells. They're just lingering, waiting to handle the crisis that you might have, the trauma. Even like cancer is not just from eating like shit. It's also from traumas. And I won't get into cancer right now. We could talk about this another time, but I've learned a lot about cancer because of that moment in time. But once I found out about that and knew that they had, childhood cancer centers, and they're making all kinds of money, and they know, like the people that run this thing, they know about cancer, and they suppress the cures, the real quote unquote cures, actively, violently even. And I know people who've been affected by it. I've talked to them in person. So this isn't just me reading news articles. So this really got me. And then in 2001, I was threatened with jail time and having my kids taken away because I would not give drugs to my son, ADD drugs.
Wow.
And that was in the state of Colorado, which is supposed to be like one of the more free places to be. Well, nah, not so much. Yeah, it's total fascism, kind of like what we're seeing right now. But I got a direct personal taste. So it's kind of like people right now are finding out things that I found out in 2001 about the whole medical industry and what they are capable of and what they're really all about. And since I knew what they were back then, I decided I was going to become my own doctor. And that was 2001, and I still was eating shit, just so you know. I wasn't special and immediately just, started seeking my highest self. I was seeking truth, but I wasn't really down the road yet. So anyways, flash forward, first fast I ever did, 2008, and it was a 40-day fast, not a crumb of food. And it was because I was scared. In 2007, I learned a lot more about how this world is run. I learned about the agencies that really do the trafficking of children. And this is why I don't believe in Q and all this other stuff that everybody's falling for, because the agencies that are doing the trafficking are supposedly the ones that are saving people and saving kids. I don't think so. So that's what I learned, and it affected me a lot. But anyways, first fast, 2008, and then 2016, I got really serious and started doing urine therapy. And I did a urine fast. I did urine therapy in 2014. That was the first time I tried it. Did an 11-day urine fast in 2015. Kind of fell off and started eating kind of crappy again. I was done with meat in 2012. And then in 2016, I got serious, was disgusted with myself for many reasons, and started doing urine therapy more seriously, and was determined that I was going to do urine therapy until I felt completely the highest health that I could be at. I wasn't going to stop until I reached that point. And I was probably 35 pounds over what I should have weighed. And it's not about overweight, underweight. We find out that the body is going to be the weight that it should be based on what you're doing and what you're eating. The body is not the reason for you losing weight. It's you. If you've damaged your body over the years, your body's going to shed waste, AKA lose weight, based on the damage inside your body. And at first, your body's not going to be keeping up with the amount of shedding, because at first the body is just getting rid of fat cells, which are toxic. The fat was protecting you from the excess toxins you were taking in. Absolutely. So it sheds that first, you lose it, quote unquote lose, and then you still lose some weight because you're losing damaged cells of muscle, bone, skin, blood, cartilage, everything. So yeah, 2016, 4 months, and it was about 99% just pee. I didn't add water or anything, and I was sweating. After about 5 days, I was working out, I was sweating, I was running hard, I was working out super hard, CrossFit 5 to 6 days a week, running 4 to 10 miles a day, roughly 4 to 10 miles a day, like 6 days a week, sometimes more.
And Chris, you can tell them that you actually did it cold turkey.
I did it cold turkey. Yeah, I went from shit diet. I was drinking energy drinks and everything else to stay awake. I wasn't laying around lazy. I was actually working 18 plus hours, 6 days a week. And I was doing that to stay awake because I was not healthy. And I got disgusted, and just, that was it. Flip a switch. This is what I'm doing. Went straight into pee therapy. And this is what's better about urine therapy than any other kind of fast, quite honestly, besides dry fasting, which I don't recommend right off the bat. Just going to say that. I think that's a higher level of fasting, and people can do it at their own risk, but I'm not recommending. Anytime somebody's going cold turkey like that, I recommend steps of liquid fasting so you can clear the colon out, because you don't want a colon loaded with shit when you're dry fasting for any kind of a extended period.
Yeah,
is
no
my
water. The water helped to get up the toxin, the urine, you know.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah, dude. So the pee, just the distilled nature of pee, leaches the toxins out of your body. So it's a safer way. If you're looping your pee, it's a safer way to fast because you're looping those toxins out of your body faster, even faster than a water fast or anything else. It's a protective, it's the best way to fast, quite honestly, besides dry fasting.
Right. And because in terms of excess water, like obviously the excess blood plasma, because, you know, urine is kind of the word itself is really misleading because you have to see it as blood. It's just elements of your blood, and it's blood plasma. And family, we do have a blood plasma industry where you could donate blood plasma as well, and you know, for people that are sick. So why not use your own excess blood plasma? And I'm sure we're gonna have a whole podcast dedicated to urine therapy and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know, but you know, it really, one thing that strikes me with the urine fast, because I'm about to do a 3 to 5 day urine fast,
Nice.
is you have a water fast and then, you know, you have a juice diet, you know. And the thing is with urine, you keep all those orthobiotic minerals and stem cells and enzymes, you know, and sodium. You keep all of those life elements of the blood and you literally recycle it. And there is no other fluid on planet Earth that is as specific as your own blood plasma. You know,
That's
so
right.
definitely it's really powerful. So
It's priceless. It's gold.
Definitely. Yeah. So
It's
you
gold, man.
bro. So how you went from, you know, the crappy diet, and then you just you dived right in. And I think it with the urine, bro. I don't know. I think if you try to do like a bottled water fast, that and peed out your shit, I wonder if you would have been that successful. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I wouldn't have.
I don't think you could have done it cold turkey like that. I think that people say prepare maybe for a water diet or the juice, because it is kind of still, it is foreign to the body still, but because urine is not foreign and the body creates its stuff, sense that when you're in a fasted state, the urine spikes up times 1,000 in its properties. You see?
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that you gotta, the very fact that you did it, and my good friend of mine who is also on the journey, and he is food free now, he went 6 months on only urine. He did the same thing you did, bro. Drunk all of it, and he say the same thing you said, Chris. It's a bridge. It is a bridge. It is not the end all be all. The goal is to get yourself to the point where it's just an auto loop, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But until then, when you're in a compromised state, you have to piss in the glass and do it manually.
Yeah. Yeah. We just, we cling to things. We like to cling to things that worked for us. But, you know, they're stepping stones too, because we are literally, you know, we're superhuman. We are human, which is superhuman. We're not told this, but these are stepping stones for us to reach that level. Other levels, there are other levels. And urine therapy is something anybody can do, and it's free, and nobody can create that same mix. And I wanted to say, you were talking about the results of, say, a water fast or a urine fast. The difference for me was I could drink the pee right before a workout and walk in there, and my energy levels would be way up because of that, just because of drinking the urine. As compared to, say, me peeing my urine out, which would be peeing my energy out, and replacing it with water, like substandard. Why would I do that? That stuff was created by my body. That stuff is my body. It's just like when a dog pees on some a bush or something. The animal that comes up is not just saying, "Oh, another dog was here." It's saying, "Oh, another dog was here. It was this kind of dog. It smelled like this. It looked like this. It felt like this. This is what it was going to do." Like it's the DNA is in there. This animal knows everything about that other animal that left that mark. But we're taught that it's just some simple, just pissing on the, it's just marking the territory. No, maybe there's a little more to it than that. But when you live in a caveman, idiot society, dumbed down society, all these things that should be amazing and fun to learn become boring. And, you hear it. And if you're a truth seeker, you hear it and it just doesn't seem like the whole truth or the whole story to you. And you don't know why. But then you find out when you're 50 years into this Gregorian chronology, fake Gregorian chronology. Anyways, yeah, dude. So that it was a huge difference. And so once I learned that, and then I started trying dry fasting, what gave me the courage, and you need it, to do dry fasting for a long time. I mean, like, to where you feel like you're dying, because that passes. That feeling of death for me lasted 2 days. High heart rate, high body temperature. Anybody else would have went straight to the hospital, but I don't feel like going to the graveyard, aka hospital. So I trusted my body and found out that we didn't even need to drink water.
Yeah. Wow. And just to ask Chris, you and again, family, this was after 2 years of him being mainly on urine, right? Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
And fruit from time to time, but mainly on urine. So he still, when he went on the dry fast, he still had that detoxification phase. So imagine, imagine someone going on a dry fast that ain't even that clean. You see why they fuck themselves up. You see?
I had to unfriend a guy who I knew that I used to see at the gym all the time. And we were pretty good friends. He had a different take on how to handle things, a little different. But anyways, he was seeing my posts on dry fasting about a year or so ago about how I was not climbing mountains, but hiking, steep, really difficult hikes that are, I'm talking like 10, 15 mile, even one of them was 20-mile hike with no food, no water for days. And everybody on the trail has a water bottle and some kind of fruit at least, or food or energy bars. And they would see me going by with, t-shirt and no backpack. And they're like, what the fuck? And I had a bunch of people offer me stuff. But the point is, I posted on this, and this guy became kind of a hater, like he's looking at it like, oh, this guy thinks he's God or something. And so he was sending me messages saying, dude, you're dangerous. Why are you telling people this? And I said, because it's true. And he said, dude, all you're doing is fasting. I said, man, I'm not even going to talk to you, man. You don't know what you're talking about. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in his view, that's what I was doing. I was just fasting and bragging about it. And I said, no, dude, it's a process. He said, look, I know how to dry fast, and I know how to fast. And when the time comes, if I need to, I will just stop, and I will not eat, and I will not drink. And I said, you know what? Sure thing, man. But you are going to feel like you're dying, and it might last for a long time. I don't know what the transition is, but if I was dirtier inside when I started dry fasting past 3 days, I would have taken longer to get to the point, or I wouldn't even have gotten to that point, because I know people like the Cole Robinson guy. He's fasted for 7. He's done longer than 7, I think. I'm going to say 7, but maybe he's done longer, but I know he's done 7 days. And I thought, why hasn't he had that transition after 3 or 4 days, which is what happened to me? And then I realized that transition point in the dry fast is going to happen at a different time for each person based on how clean they are or dirty.
Bill, what you did was, and this is still the part of if there's any form of preparation, Chris, because remember you talking about, doing things cold turkey. there should be a preparation for the dry fasting. And that's something that I think that is really important, because you prepared your body with urine, the best substance. And finally, he only used fresh urine. You got people
Yes.
talking about, the aged urine. And the funny thing is, you have people using aged urine, which is, again, I'm sure it's powerful, but they still haven't really transitioned. So,
Right.
when you look at it, it's something you said on Facebook. Willpower is the best supplement of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Willpower.
There you go, dude.
And this is, and look, these podcasts, family, this is a realist right here. So we can bring it down to earth, and we're going to be very honest about our experiences. And I'm also documenting my own experience as well. So from this first podcast, you're then going to see my progression as well, along with Chris, but my progression towards the transition. So Chris, it's really interesting, the fact that you did 5 days. So you mean to tell me, brother, that this was really the first time that you really did dry fast?
No, I did I believe it was 3 dry fasts prior to this 5-day, but the previous ones were all less than 3 days. They were all in that 40 to 60 hour kind of range.
Okay, so you did about 3 intervals of 48-hour dry fasts.
Roughly, you could say that, yeah, about 40 to 60,
okay.
basically.
All right. That's still good. That ain't even like a lot to make the trial when you really look at it, because you still.
They were almost back to back too. Like I wanted to push. I didn't spend a year doing that. I did that in a month.
So you did that in a month, and then you did the 5-day transition. Basically.
I did the 5-day, and that's the one where I found out that I didn't need food or water, and I know this because of how I felt, and because I felt full and satiated, and my lips had been dry the prior 4 days, and they weren't dry anymore. I didn't put any water on them. I didn't put moisturizer on, but all of a sudden my skin's hydrated on day 5.
Wow. And you know that when you have a dry skin, you probably shedded old skin cells, like
yes,
shedded like
that's what the body,
almost like a reptilian, you shed like a reptile, and you get rid of those old cells. So yeah.
Yes. And that's something I wanted to throw in real quick. If anybody's, they're working on their skin and they're using aged urine, which is really good on your skin, and I do believe it has healing properties. But if you're really looking to heal or get rid of deeper wrinkles and things like that, I grew up in deserts my whole life, pretty much, dry climates, hot climates. I've been out in the sun a lot, and my skin is literally like a baby on my arms and everything. And I don't know anybody my quote unquote age that has smooth skin, really smooth skin. You can tell it's kind of aged, but on the face, it's had more sun. I've got wrinkles around my eyes, but they're not even close to what they used to be. Like, they used to be deep. There's no depth to them anymore. They're just slowly but surely kind of unfolding, going away. And what I attribute that to is I stopped putting anything on my face to moisturize. When I say putting stuff on my face, while I was doing this urine therapy, I was thinking that the pee would de-age the skin and de-wrinkle, and it does to an extent. But the real deep healing comes from those cells being destroyed. And they're not as critical as, say, destroying cells that make up your heart or your lungs or your blood.
They're the last to really be rejuvenated.
Low priority. It's superficial. The body knows that it's not a need. So the body's going to work on the things that matter first. This is what I'm not saying this because I read this. I'm saying this because this is what I feel from just my own experience, that the body's worked on the important things first. And the very first thing, and this is partly proof of what I just said, the very first thing the body destroys is the fat. And it's not, and people mistake, because they're lied to, that the body is consuming the fat and using the energy, and that's not what's going on. Now, the body does use that water that comes from the cells, and maybe there is some energy stored up that can be used, but the body's not seeking that. It's not doing that because it needs that energy or it needs that water. That's just a byproduct of the real reason that the fat cells are being rid, from the body. And that's because those cells are nothing but toxins wrapped up in water to protect the body. So the first thing that happens is get rid of those toxins. They're right there. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy. The body does it right away with all kinds of fasts, not just dry fast, right? But when you start dry fasting, you're hitting things that some of the other fasts will never touch.
Yes, it's to another level of, there are parasites that actually live on excess water, and and with the when the body creates its own perfect water, but there are the last ditch of parasites that literally survive under those conditions, so
Yep.
And that's another talk, like people wouldn't even get, like, what do you mean water? Parasites on water? What are you talking about? Yeah, because the H2O, again, that's not really what we call H2O, is used for cleaning. Cleaning, like, cleaning your room, cleaning your clothes, stuff like that. It's not really for the body. It's not really.
In fact, distilled water is the best cleanser, because the things that you're trying to clean or remove, even if you're cleaning a surface of something, the particles that you're trying to get rid of are all positively charged, dead, inorganic matter. So that negative charge of the distilled water, whether it be your pee or even fruit juice or lemon juice, which they use in cleaning, or distilled water, even just plain old distilled water is a good cleanser, believe it or not. So yeah, I wanted to throw that in there.
Definitely. Yeah, I drink distilled water, I like to throw a lime in it too as well, really. But and that's probably another podcast as well, just to talk about distilled water. So
oh my God,
to get to, what'd you say?
Oh, I'm just laughing. It's, yeah, dude, this is endless, but go ahead.
Distilled water, yeah, so it's amazing when you, and then I love how, Chris, even in the way you talk, it's all just from personal experience, and that's what we really want to do.
Yes.
You appreciate books, you appreciate the people that inspired you, but it doesn't really mean anything until it becomes a first-hand experience.
That's right.
Definitely. And
you're never going to hear me get passionate. I'll never get passionate about anything that I have not experienced myself or watched somebody experience.
Exactly.
Or seen it. I have to have that direct experience, or I'm not going to get excited about it, period.
Right, definitely. And you can see just looking at your urine diet, your fast that lasted for such a long time. I mean, I can imagine you didn't tell anybody. Hey, did you tell anyone that you were on that fast?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. You did.
Yeah, no, I told people about it right from the start, dude. I was
passionate.
Yeah, they shut me down. I had an old account on Facebook called Cristo de Braccio, which was my mom's maiden name. Or my mom's maiden name. Or was it my grandmother? Man, I've lost. Chronology means so little to me anymore that I've forgotten, whatever. But that was my old account, and I had more people clicking like, commenting than I do right now on my posts back then. And that was in 2016. And it was getting a little too popular, and I was telling people the straight truth about what I was going through. I documented the first part of it, like the first 12 days. I
okay.
Every day.
Cool.
And then, I had something to say there, but you had asked kind of a question, and I thought I was answering it. See, I get all caught up. Too many thoughts. I have a million thoughts in my head.
You pretty much answered it. I said, did you tell anyone? Because that's it's very unusual. Even though urine therapy is, getting quite popular, which is not a bad thing, of course. the levels that you push into, you know, I think the main thing with this podcast is going to help people with is, please do not make the therapy your God. So I just want to say this.
Right.
Fruitarianism, veganism, vegetarianism, urine therapy, herbalism, all these isms, okay, sound therapy, everything. These things do not work. They help you to, they take you to a place. They're all just therapies. They're not your God, okay? They take you to a place, and they're meant to take you to a place of sovereignty, a taste of freedom that you did not even know exists. And the funny thing is, it's the natural reality. It's the true reality. We've been hoodwinked. And the main thing that happened from the beginning was the installment of words and thoughts. And these particular thought forms that have been implanted into us steal away our light. It steals your energy. Now, it looks just like a simple word, okay? Like just a word that pops in your head. It seems really innocent. But understand, these thoughts have no light. They have no light of their own, you know? And when you carry these ideas and you live by it and you act on it and it becomes your truth, we all make it real. That's based on the collective agreement. The cells start to change to match whatever we believe. Doesn't have to be true, but what the body is doing, the body is a instrument of unconditional love. And you realize you live in a world filled with unconditional love. And even though we live in incorrectly, it does its best to prolong our experience here with the least amount of suffering. So family, even a tumor is an act of unconditional love, an indentured wall, a compact of poisons, okay? For example, if you keep suppressing the cold, suppressing the flu, suppress every time you feel some illness, you keep suppressing it with drugs, with herbs, with food, whatever. If the body cannot eliminate, the body is storing. So for most people on earth, we're not eliminating, we're actually storing toxins and we're holding on to it. And this storing mechanism could be a cyst, it could be a tumor, it could be a boil, a bump, fat around the heart, excess fat, you know, dandruff coming out. So if we did not have these specific things, what they call disease, if you did not have that tumor, my brother and sister, you probably would have been dead 10 years ago, 5 years ago, because that toxin would have been allowed to flow through the bloodstream. So we have to look at disease as not something that is, it's not hurting you. It's revealing the hurt you did to self. And the universe is actually trying to protect you and the temple, the major organs, from self-deception and self-denial. So we're going to be revealing in these podcasts many different layers of self-deception, because the mind control is so deep. You go through many different levels and many different phases, you know? So again, we just have to identify that what we call disease is just stagnancy trying to move. That's all it is. The lymphatic system backs up, the blood becomes sluggish. So there's a flow of energy, and these thoughts that you have are causing like a dam or causing a restriction. So when it comes to immortality, it's about allowing the flow to take place. You just sit and you allow, you surrender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's my
because the body, sorry, that's your thoughts. Is that what you were going to say before I cut you off? Sorry.
No. I was ending it. I said, that's my 5 cents. I'm done.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man, just get out of the way. We always think the body wants our supplement or our help in some way. Don't need your help. Just like nature doesn't need your help. Just leave it alone. You know, you're not saving anything. You just stop hurting it. That's all. Just leave it the fuck alone. And you know, another example of how the body just continues on, and we just need to step out of the way and not put food in its way. One of the things is you could hold your breath and try to kill yourself, and the body won't even let you do that. That's how much the body wants to survive beyond your stupidity and your damage. It'll pass you out. You won't die.
Absolutely. Yep.
That says a lot to me.
You said it yourself, like, you know, there's a natural order in flow, and, you know, we were limitless. And
yes,
it's like we create this, but, you know, we create the void, and it's just amazes me, just going back to the yogi that always used to tell me, just sit and be. Just sit, just allow. You know, enough of all that extra shit. You know, I know you like that deep science and stuff, but I said, drop all that shit. Allow and accept self. See, Chris, when you went into that dry fast and you didn't run to the hospital, you stepped into a mode of 100% self-acceptance, not seeking to alter because of fear. We seek to alter self with drugs, with thoughts, with survival, because of fear. And that's what this journey is about. And when you accept self, like what you did, you realize that you are the epitome of unlimited energy. You are the cosmos, man. You are the cosmos. You are everything, you know?
Yes.
So it's everything about this is in realizing how it's almost like we're like those cosmic children. You ever see a child that been inherited everything, wealth, and they just don't appreciate shit? You know, they're not happy with shit. Well, that's the state of the human being. We are given everything every second. Every second the body's trying to detox itself. Every second your energy body is trying to grow. Every second. We're being bestowed all this sacred energy. We don't appreciate it. You know, we waste it away. And you mean to tell me, my brother, my sister, that we will throw away our immortality for a fucking biscuit, bro? For a biscuit? Think about that. You know? For a bird? A chicken? No.
We will literally lose our vital organs before we will stop eating the fucking biscuit.
Bro.
You know what? I like this. I think this is what we should use as a reference. The biscuit. Don't go for the biscuit, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Stay away from the biscuit.
Stay away, you know? And I mean, you have elders in their 60s, 70s, and I'm not trying to judge, but you still eating a chocolate cake. And it's okay if you decide to eat it, but when it's not okay, it's when you affect the lives of your children, when you affect the lives of those around you. And now you have people, I have family members and elders, not going to say names, can't even walk, can't remember their life, can't even go take a shit. You have to change his diapers. You know, you have to feed him.
Exactly.
All because, and guess what? You're feeding him the same stuff that have him in that state. Now, of course, we know the trauma and emotions is a part of it as well. But you do know, but even if you don't address that right away, if you just let go of certain foods, that helps. So we have to hold ourselves accountable. And to the elders in the community, being here in the Bahamas, so much people sick here. I know it's worldwide, but just here alone, you know, I mean, in their late 40s and early 50s, like it can't even walk up the stairs, you know, and you eat yourself to where you're crippled.
Yep.
It ain't right to put that on kids, man. It ain't right.
No, it's
It's okay
not.
for you to do it, but when you start to affect other people's life in such a way, you can really have to address yourself. And I said that to myself. I'll never go down like that. I'll never want to do that to my kids. And I don't have kids, but I'm saying, like, if I ever do, you know,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Well, it's a burden. It's a burden. You're putting a financial burden. You're putting trauma on them.
yeah,
It's tough
financial
to deal
burden.
with watching someone die and watching them die because they wouldn't even take care of themselves. And you hear, and I come from a Christian background, I hear, oh, pray for so and so. He has some heart issue or something. I mean, I've heard, you hear this all the time. They've got something wrong with their heart or something's going on. And it's always food related. And they eat like shit. And all these people that are asking for miracles and prayers, they know that he eats like shit, and they eat like shit too. And they're probably on the same path, but they don't care. Like, oh, just pray, just pray.
Bro, and Chris, some just don't believe in it, bro. Like, when I here in Bahamas, they just don't believe in it. They honestly believe it's like something you catch, even like at a funeral, at the wake, they'll serve the same food, the same type of food, they just don't, it's like they just don't want to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
and it really, and then, I'm sitting there like, God damn, man, like, we got to do better, we really got to do better. And that's what these podcasts are for,
There you go. Breaking the paradigms, the false paradigms. And what's the real God then? What is the real God? Your real God at that point is not God. Because if you believe in God, you believe you were fearfully and wonderfully made. I've heard that said a million times. Well, if you believe you were fearfully and wonderfully made, then why the fuck don't you trust your body to heal itself? You even see that it heals itself when you get a cut and you bleed and it coagulates and the body, scab forms. And the scab, as you know, Mark, the scab is new skin. And we peel off the skin because it gets itchy, or the scab because it gets itchy, and you're left with a little crevice, a scar. But if you leave that scab alone, it turns into skin. I mean, that's also what your pee is made of. It's skin. It's everything you're made of is your blood. So that's a miracle, pee therapy. But your body's a miracle because it heals itself. And we see examples of it, like God's like, hey, look, you just scratched yourself. I'm healing it for you. And I mean, I'm not saying it's like that guy, the guy, God, but I believe there's information, man. We were created somehow. I don't know how or what, but we are just way too intricate and self-healing. It didn't just happen on its own. It was made. But yeah, dude. So Christians don't trust God. They trust in the system. They trust in the lies that they were taught. And they fall for, and how do you fall for those lies if you're really connected to spirit and to love, but you believe this kind of bullshit that you need a pizza for dinner, or you're better off eating the pizza than not eating? How is that? How does that even make sense?
And
yeah,
Chris, sorry to cut you off, but
no, I keep talking. Go ahead.
No, here they do cookouts to raise money for, like, surgery for, and like, come on, man, come on.
The cookout is funded by the local hospital or the local surgeon.
Yeah, well, they get people in, like, for example, they'll get family and people in the community, they'll make tickets and sell tickets for the cookout in order to pay for, like, a surgery or to get some scan, or, and I was trying to tell this lady that was having a lung issue. And I'm saying, like, yo, this ain't the way to go. Like, you telling me, and this is how they get you. They get you to try to donate to these services, breast cancer and all of this. And it's literally just stealing money, and it doesn't go to anything that's everlasting. And what people need to understand is the true everlasting what we call knowledge is self-knowledge. And you realize that self-knowledge is very fucking silent. It doesn't really have to do that much with the English words. It has to do more with accepting the flow and trusting, acceptance and trust and willpower.
We block it with our ego.
Huh?
We block that information with our ego.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's why the Bible said, do not lean on your own understanding. Don't do that. The minute you lean on your own understanding, which is the ego, which is your thoughts, you fuck it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, dude, we could go on, couldn't we, for hours and hours?
No, I know, right? But, you know, we want to keep it short. You know, say we do this once a week or twice or ever in the hell we feel like doing it, to be honest.
I like the last option there, whenever in the hell we feel like it.
Yeah, that's really it. You know, like, for example, if you know how I getting on the melon diet because I want to get off my vegan burger and alkaline burger shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just bullshit, man. You know, it's like, again, because I want to develop myself to the point where I'm okay with being around family, being around that type of food, and, you know, not having to always like indulge, you know what I mean? So so that's something I know that I addressing, you know, getting past like the almond Alfredo pasta, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, you know, so I'm seeing past my own, not demonizing it, not saying, okay, but I'm ready to drop it now, you know. I'm just ready to drop that, you know. So
it's a good tasting stimulant, and you know, it doesn't mean you're never going to try again. It just means that you're not going to
be dependent
every day,
you know.
be dependent.
And again, and you know, this whole food freedom thing, this breatharian thing, it's not about not eating and eating per se. It's just having choice.
Yes.
No one can tell you how to live, man. We ain't saying that. It's just having the choice to do it or not. Okay? Because you have this hunger implantation that took place in us, because it's more of a residual thought form that, you know, again, change the nature of the cells. And the problem with cancer cells are so low in enzymic activity and biophotonic energy that they cannot synthesize the high instructions from the breath. So these cancer cells cannot create minerals. They cannot create the necessary things. They thrive on stimulants. So if we was to just get off of food, yes, you do die from starvation. That is real because of the state of the cells. Okay. Now, unless you really someone that know about urine therapy and you have the trust in the urine, maybe that'll work out. But if you someone that just getting into urine and you still live in fear and you don't know and you're reading books, you're not going to be sustained by it. You know?
Yeah.
Not. But when you have the knowledge and trust, like what you did with the urine and you did it cold turkey, like there was a food shortage here. Even though I haven't done a long one, I could guarantee you I would more than likely be sustained by the urine because of what I know and the trust I have.
You would.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm not saying you know, again, but because of the cancer cells, especially with people that don't even know the urine therapy or even accept it like that, you know, you can't, you know, this is, you know what? That's another podcast. I'm going to leave it right there.
I want to throw this out there for people that are still listening right now. If you're up for this, Mark, I think that maybe if people comment under this video, I'm going to upload this to my YouTube channel and probably to my website and maybe to Facebook. I don't know. But if you comment underneath, anybody who's listening, and you want to hear us talk about certain subjects, list it below, and we'll give it our personal experience. We won't tell you what we've read in the book or what other guys are working on. It'll be what we know, what we're working on, what we've experienced. And also, I was going to throw this out there to you, and I don't know if people would be interested in this. I'd like to hear from other people tell me. I thought that this would be kind of cool, man. We get people to request that we go and do a not a reaction. You know how those reaction videos are all over YouTube? I think they're kind of cool depending on what they are, or funny. But we could do reaction, quote unquote, videos to videos that are in the truth movement. Like, what do you guys think of this video from David Icke? And we could just play it and pick it apart, or say, oh, it sounds great. You know, listen to it point by point, pause it where we have to, and say, here's what I see wrong with that, or here's why I agree with that. And I think people might really like that, actually.
Okay.
And maybe we could just start a Patreon together.
I think definitely, bro. It's not gonna, you know, we can transmutate it, you know. We can, you know, whatever comes to mind, whatever comes in that intuition, you know, even PowerPoints, even like if I create a PowerPoint and, you know, let you know, we do that, the PowerPoint, or picking a video or picking a documentary, you know, definitely, bro. So yeah, it's a lot. It's okay. This is it's a lot to look forward to, bro. I'm really, really grateful to be working with you, because it really pushes me, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I was really having a difficult time just to get on the watermelon and melons and pea and, you know, but just this interaction alone, consistently, it really fucking helps, bro. Like on some real shit. Really helps.
Well, I'm grateful for you too, and I'm actually learning some stuff from you, just like you're maybe learning from me, and we learn from each other. We both have something to offer each other. That's what I'm telling you. And I think that I've always appreciated your truth and the things you post, because I know it comes from your heart. I don't always see that. I don't always see things coming from the heart, and I can tell when it is, and I appreciate it in you. So yeah, man, this is good. This is just the start. I see this as just the start, and the world needs truth and no bullshit right now. Needs firsthand experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a crowd that is dying to hear these things.
There's a growing crowd, man.
Every day, every second, man. Every day, you know.
Yeah.
So family, you know, I guess, you know, we're gonna keep it, like you say, 30 minutes to an hour each time. You know, just, you know, even 20 minutes with some. We just want to, you know, I know people have busy days. You got to do the kids. You got to deal with a lot of different things, you know. So
yeah,
it's a lot sometimes just to sit and, you know, just listen and you know, receive. So
we might just jump on and do 5 minutes. Who knows? I mean, whatever it ends up being.
5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You
Could be just like a single subject little thing that we want to talk about real quick, and I think that would be good. You know, instead of just chatting, we record everything and just put it out there.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, so, you know, this is only the beginning. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. This is number 1 to the podcast. Many more to look forward to. All right.
Many more. Sounds great to me.